Yeah, I think that word is a big problem. Because most people immediately think of it as something like light, like a light bulb, basically, which is not it at all. Um, so it's not something visual. So just to throw that in, a little anecdote, a friend of mine in Germany, it was long ago, like he was fresh in Buddhism, and then the Dalai Lama came to Hamburg at the time, and he was his driver, and he was very enthusiastic about the whole Buddhist thing. And Dalai Lama was also talking about clear light, in his talks. And then, my friend built his shrine at home and then sat down to meditate, and so I'm gonna get that clear light thing down now. So he, lit the incense, the candle on his shrine and stuff, and he sat down and he meditated with closed eyes, and then suddenly he had this, everything became totally bright, He said, oh wow, that's the clear light now, and then suddenly he noticed a kind of weird smell, and then he saw that his shrine was in flames because the candle had lit the tanka and everything. So that's not luminosity. So it has nothing to do with, and it can have to do something with some inner brightness. It can, but not necessarily. So you could also, like a lot of times it's actually explained as more being like the natural purity of the mind. Like for example, even in Pali sources, they talk about the luminosity of the mind and even afflictive, adventitious stains. And also in the Prajnaparamita Sutras, for example, they use also luminosity, but in the sense of like purity, which means like stainlessness. Like for example, if you go out on a clear winter day, like yesterday in Boulder, then you could say that is, everything's very clear, very bright, vivid, but not necessarily like just visually, but the whole thing is very crisp. Like when you breathe in the air, it's a very fresh, crisp feeling. So it's not limited to a visual thing at all. You could say it's the natural awareness or vibrancy or aliveness of the mind, basically, which is there all the time in any perception we have. It's integral to that. So the very fact that we are aware, you could say that's the luminosity, but of course it's kind of distorted or dimmed down in a sense.
Great.
But I think it's important to understand that it's not something visual. It's more like it's an experiential vibrancy, which is there all the time, but then when it comes more to realizing the nature of the mind, it just becomes exponentially more intense, to the point of, metaphorically speaking, outshining ordinary experiences. Right? But it doesn't mean like you turn on a big spotlight or something. It's the intensity of the experience, not something visual. Like for example, just as an example, like for example, if you're overjoyed with something, right? That experience blots out everything else. Like you don't even see your surrounding, you don't have any thoughts, you don't even have an ego at that point, because it's so overwhelming. So, and that's what he also says in Vajrayana Mahamudra Rigpa. It just outshines everything. Not necessarily like the sun, but just through the power of the experience. There's no room for anything else.